the subjective perspective show. You're free to be on the subjective perspective show. You're free like we on the subjective perspective show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 165 of the Subjective Perspective Show here on the Be Awoke Entertainment Network. Hey, listen, we're going to get right into it today. Want to go into a quick commercial. So we are absolutely honored, lucky, and extremely excited to have our featured guest on with us for episode 165. This is a gentleman who I know personally, who I have had the opportunity to work with side by side nearly 20 years ago in Harlem, New York, and an individual who also became superintendent of that school. He is one of the wisest, kindest, strongest, and most knowledgeable individuals that I've ever worked with in the world of education. He's an old friend, and I'm really, really looking forward to catching up with him momentarily. This episode 165 guest features Dr. Achil Petit. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in about a minute and 30 seconds with probably some ideas that are going to rock your consciousness. We'll be right on back. Head on over to beawoke.com and check out the merch section. You have tons of cool logos, design choices to choose from. Men, definitely a host of colors and different design choices within t-shirts, but women as well. You'll find that this is one of the coolest things about the Subjective Perspective and Be Awoke Entertainment merch section. We have clothing for everybody. And just realize that this allows you to put yourself in the driver's seat, really, of the creator of your design for the logos that we have created for you all. So whether it's a different shirt design choice, color choice, beanie, full brim fisherman hat, trucker hat. We have tons of designs and logo patterns for you to choose from. And you'll see this just by going to beawoke.com and clicking on the merch section right there on the main page, as well as beawoke.com/TSP. You'll even find some really cool stuffed animals. Lately, the panda bear has been one of the hits. And again, all you have to do is go to beawoke.com and you can get yourself any of this merch. Enjoy it, share it. Thank you, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from that quick commercial break. You see our clothing brand, all the merch that you can grab. Check it out at beawoke.com. You see him with us, arguably the greatest teacher I've ever worked with of my over 20-year career, Dr. Achil Petit, episode 165 of the Subjective Perspective Show, our featured guest. Achil, first off, just as I've introed you, the audience knows that we've worked with each other years ago, almost 20 years ago now.
Man, in Harlem.
It's crazy, bro, going back to Harlem.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Me
for
too,
real.
man.
I remember it. I remember when we were in the blue room. It was a small room next to the cafeteria.
Cafeteria, absolutely.
Is where all the newer teachers or the new hires, they were in there.
That was us.
Yeah, and you were there. I was there. Obviously, I was math. You were more of a history person.
Social studies, yeah.
So I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh my God, dog. It was And listen, we had Chris Finn on the show.
Yeah.
Big ups to Chris, obviously one of the greats, as I've mentioned to him as well, one of the greatest teachers I've ever worked with. We had such an amazing team. We'll throw
Amazing.
some names out. We had an amazing
We
team
did.
in like
Yeah.
'07. And
Amazing.
that's when HCZ was just starting. And HCZ, ladies and gents, is the Harlem Children's Zone. This is East 120. Was it East 123rd in Madison? Right
120
around there.
in Madison.
125th in Madison. Was it 125th? So what was the subway station up there I would get out at?
You know what? You asked me a question I can't respond because I don't take the subway.
That
I
was
don't
that
take the
six
subway, the
train, my man.
public, but I know it was literally a block away from the train station on the east side.
Okay, yeah, man. It was like, yeah, so that was what it was, probably the 125th train right there on the east side.
Yes,
I used to take it from the Bronx, the boogie down,
right.
man.
It dropped you off
Um,
of Park Ave.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Sheil. Oh, so ladies and gents, we're gonna take this all the way back to Achil, young Achil.
Yeah.
Okay, Achil has an amazing story, man. And Achil, like I found you on LinkedIn about a year ago,
Okay.
and like, bro, like once I realized, and once my brain connected, I could search out people that I used to work with, and like try to find them. Like I was like going for it, man. What's Achil doing up to? What's he up to? And then forget about it. Find out you're a superintendent. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the superintendent of schools until recently retired from the Harlem Children's Zone, Harlem, New York, one of the biggest cities in the world. Superintendent of schools in that region. We're going to get into all that good stuff too. But we had an amazing time in '07, brother. You're an amazing man, and I just want to say the first time I ever met you, in the Blue Room, as it's called. Um, I think we're doing like meet and greets, and we're just talking, and I say we're talking to each other, and you're like, "Yeah, my name's Achil." I'm like, "Hey, that's cool, man." You're like, and it's like a shield without a D. I was like, "Oh, I never forgot that." It's like it's a shield, man. That was so like, I was like, it's very easy to enunciate your name, anyways, a shield. But that was one thing I always remember, man. And you and Ernst Lejeune, big ups, man. We'll get into Ernst, and I know that we talked off. We've emailed back and forth. He said he's doing well, so just please, Ernst. Hey man, love you, bro. Come on, man. You already know what time it is, man.
I will
Come
let
on. This is Nicky D coming back from '07 Harlem, New York. Yeah, everybody knows what time it is. What time now it is, bro?
Oh,
Come
man.
on. Ishio, have I changed? This
No,
is sort of
you
how
have not. You are still that good person with lots of energy. I mean, you had energy before you still have it, and that's very important, which means
thank
that
you.
you
Thank you.
were always authentic and you were always
Yeah.
true. So you
Oh
didn't
my.
deviate from who you are, and tried to become something or someone that you're not. So I appreciate that, and I'm pretty sure your listeners, followers, and most importantly, the kids you serve
Oh,
appreciate that as well.
yes. That's an honor, a blessing, and it takes one to know one. Obviously, your energy is, you know, it's so. I was going to say it's so youthful, and that's the marking of wisdom. It was, oh gosh, who was it? Aldous Huxley, writer. He said, the spirit, okay, the secret to genius is carrying the spirit of the child into your old age. And that means never losing your enthusiasm.
Mhm.
You've always been that, my friend. You've always been enthusiastic. You've always been ambitious. You've always been businessman. You've
Yes.
always been business. And that's one thing that we're going to explore. So listen, now that the audience knows that we know each other, we go back. Let's get into what I mentioned to you off air actually just a bit ago. I call it a thought sandwich. I'll ask some of the most simple questions
Okay.
at the beginning and end. And then we'll get more into the abstract, what's your philosophy on education? What, how did you get to here, there, bop, bop, bom. And when the audience, when people, if it's one person, Achil, you and I grew up in the time period where, man, we had mixtapes. We had cassette tapes,
Yes, we
and
did.
we had to listen to the radio, and we had to record stuff from the radio. And if you didn't hear the song, you had to wait for
Remember.
that song to come back. And it's like, man, and if you want to reach somebody with ideas, man, I remember when printers first came to our high school in New York. which we're going to get into you in New York because you were in Mount Vernon, I believe.
I was.
Yeah, you some cool little Jeopardy, tidbit about me and you, a connection which nothing major, but my mom was born in Mount Vernon. So I
Mm,
told you that years ago. And recently we were at my family's house, not far from here, up in the Northeast, up by New York now, PA, New York, and my mom was showing me a picture of her and her grandma at the steps of her house, townhouse, or little house, and it was across from something, man. But it was in Mount Vernon, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then we worked this out, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be cool, man." We'll talk about Mount Vernon then. I'm curious about that.
right.
Which I know, and we've talked about that years back too, Mount Vernon, and which I, years back, going to New Rock City and stuff like that. Not far, going to the Best Buy in New Rock. We had
Yeah,
the Best
I
Buy
remember
up there,
that.
right? Yeah. Come on, man. All right, listen. First question, fine sir.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Petit, Dr. Achil Petit.
Yes.
Wow. Has a ring to it. I know how hard you worked for that, man. Like you said, we met in that blue room back in '07, '06, '07, whatever. It was like right around there.
Yep.
We were young bucks. We'll talk about where we first started. And like, if that was your first teaching experience, I think I worked for like a year or two in the Bronx just before that, but we'll get there. Born and raised.
Yeah.
Where were you born and raised?
Okay. So, again, Nick, I appreciate the invite. Appreciate you reaching out.
Absolutely.
I can give you a quick, maybe 2.5, 3 minutes in terms of my trajectory.
Yes.
And then really fast forward to when we met back in '06, '07 years. How does that sound?
I love that. I love that.
Good. So I am the son of two immigrants from the island of Hispaniola, Haiti to be exact, Haiti. My dad immigrated to this country in 1980 and left me and some of my siblings for an opportunity, a better opportunity, and a better chance. And at that time, I was left with my oldest brother, who was 20 plus years older than I was. Right. So he himself was a young person, still trying to figure that out, figure it out. Stayed with him until July of 1986. And in 1986, we moved and immigrated to Rockland County, specifically Nyack, New York. So Nyack is what I call the second home because that, like you said, the late 80s with the cassettes and music.
Great area. Nyack's a great area. Right over the bridge, man.
Right over the bridge is
Right
amazing.
on.
It was an amazing community. All of my experiences, I say I pay homage to Nyack and what it really made me, not just the educator, but the man that I have become. So I went through the public school system in elementary, middle, and high school in Nyack. And then I had unfortunately, a school counselor who tried to derail my progress by telling me I did not have the grades to transition to colleges and universities that my friends were applying to. And so I listened until the second day before graduation, and I went to the office and I got to get my cap and gown, and I saw that I graduated with a special ribbon, if you will. And my GPA was actually like maybe 4 or 5 tenths of a point away from a 90 average. So I did have the grade, which really angered me. And it's kind of like where I really come to the understanding that people will write the story to your book without even knowing any information about you to fill the pages.
So you had good grades,
I
but
did.
this guidance counselor tried to derail you and say you don't have the grades to get. You know what's so crazy? Listen, I was shaking my head up and down. You know why, bro?
Yeah.
Because hey, listen, I'm an open book. Everybody knows my story, man. I speak it, Achil. You know, come from that working class, working poor brat background, nothing but love in my household. That's why I'm the way I am. You know what I'm talking about?
Right,
Hey,
right,
20, born and raised 25 miles outside of New York, outside the New York City area, man. Just like you, man. You're out there right outside of Manhattan, man. So my guidance counselor in 11th grade, I go down, they call me down over the loudspeaker, Mr. McDonough, God rest his soul if he's not around no more. And him and two other kids in 12th grade were all applauding me. And they're like, Mr. DeJosia, they're like, we just want to congratulate you. You have the second lowest average of the entire school.
wow.
I'm like, now listen, Achil, obviously did not put my best academic foot forward, and this goes out to anybody checking this out. It's not
Right,
like Mike Geronimo said, it's not where you're at, it's where you are.
there you
It's not
go.
about where you were, it's about where you're going. Because
Absolutely.
obviously,
It's
like
not
what you
about how
just
you
let,
start,
let's go
it's
back
how
to
you
what you
finish.
just said. Yes, and what you said about the writing the book, how people will write your story if you allow them. I just want to interject. I want to say that because that's why I was shaking my head up and down, like man, I heard that same thing, but I really didn't have the grades. But it's because I didn't apply myself. We all have the ability to make it happen. Are we going to apply ourselves? You applied yourself, but this cat tried to say, "No, you can't do it." So back to the
Right,
point where if you allow people to write that story, they will. If you give them the pen, they're going to write it. Please, my friend,
right.
apologize.
And so that's just like, let's say, one obstacle or one barrier. But there obviously, again, we were in a one-bedroom studio, six of us, barely any heat, any food, you name it, all the ills and issues that plague young people in underserved community. I faced them all. And not to mention, again, in the late 80s, early 90s, bullying was a real thing. This is
It was
not
gritty. It was gritty, bro.
virtual kind of thing. It was live in your face that,
I know
they
it,
were
bro.
making fun of you or snapping
Yeah. And let's
as
just say this cyber stuff is crazy, though.
sure,
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
psychologically
You can log,
crazy.
but you can log
That's
off.
hard.
You
Yeah,
can log off. If I'm in the
it's
school,
tough.
I can't
Yo,
log off or log
yo,
out.
yo, man. I had a lot of face-to-face interaction. I'll say that.
When you think of that, when you think about financial distress, when you think about housing distress,
Yeah.
when you think about being made fun of just not because of your name, but just your skin tone and ethnicity, it's a confluence of things that really shaped who I am now and my philosophy as an educator, which I will get to. So I took a detour and went to a community school in Westchester, New York. Then it was called Westchester Business Institute. It is now called Westchester College, I believe. So I took 120 credits. Only then my friends were already at the university at Albany. So then I transitioned there and they only accepted like 12 or 15 of my credits. That was another blow which could have derailed my progress or just
I
make
know
me
how that is.
right. Uh,
Mhm.
you're talking about poverty, and then now you're trying to better yourself with higher education, and now there's that issue. So I essentially had to start almost all over. So
Yeah.
what I did was I took 6 or 7 classes every semester, including in the summer, to be able to catch up. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
able to do so in the 2 years that I needed. So essentially, I did
Nice.
4 years in 2 years. It was
Yeah.
work, but what I learned is that for every issue or every problem, there is always a resolution or a solution. You just have to be resilient enough to seek those solutions and strategies. So that
Yeah.
was so while I was there, I had other issues in terms of I couldn't pay my bills, right? In terms of like my school bill and being called. Imagine you are in a lecture hall and they call you down to go see Bursaw and you
I
cannot
know how
return
that is.
that payment, right? And I'm talking
Yeah.
about a few $1,000s. Like one semester was 2,800, another it was 3,200, and I still didn't have it because my parents
Yeah.
didn't. So I paid
Right.
for school my entire collegiate education out of pocket by myself, right? So did that while I was earning my degrees. I happened to work at a school district very close to me, which was Albany High School. It was a large school district with roughly around 5,000 kids. It was a large urban school district. So you could
Capital New York. Capital.
very similar to Harlem or the South Bronx or, Brownsville, Brooklyn, or anywhere really when you think about Little Rock, Arkansas, Oakland, Atlanta, right? Miami. So you think about all the issues there, I faced them. But I was a younger child in the school with kids. I was a substitute teacher with kids who were 18, 19, some of them 20. So we were like a year, sometimes 2.5 years removed. And yet I was the professional. So, there's a lot of stuff that happened up there, right?
I know how that is. It's crazy, man. We have such a parallel story, bro. That's why I have such respect for you, man. And I think it's why, like, our vibration is the way it is, because we had to fight for every inch we got, man. We've,
And
bro.
literally, metaphorically, and even academically, we did. I mean, I've gotten
Man,
to, I
bro.
can, me since before. I've gotten into a lot of misunderstandings. I will
Face to face interactions,
say
face to face interactions. We've had them, bro.
up in Rockland and then at the university. But the one thing I always kept close to my heart is the idea of never disappointing my parents, even though they worked 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet. And they were returning from their second, sometimes the third job by 11 p.m. School
Absolutely, bro.
at 2:45. So I had all the opportunities in the world to really choose a path that would land me in 2 places that I did not want to be, right?
I know it, man. Sure,
Under the dirt. So
it's crazy, man. Like, one day, Sibonus, and we got these new mugs, man.
yeah, yeah.
Everybody, check us out. TSP got them new mugs. We love you. Got them the heart handles right there. Subjective
Okay.
perspective. Get that, man. Come on, everybody. It's on that merch section. Hey, listen, Achil, let me tell you this, bro. For everybody listening in, and if you were not around in the 80s and 90s, really, it was so like real and in your face where and Achille, it's why I am the way I am, man. Like born and raised, you know, 25 miles outside of New York City, South Shore of Strong Island, New York, as they said. Which, you know what's funny, man? Had a conversation with Mr. Jeff Canada when he was back there. We'll
Yeah,
talk about the great Jeff Canada.
absolutely.
And I've lectured about him for years. And I've lectured about, and now when I do my lectures, I can be like, this is my friend Ashia that I told you about. Um, and it's funny when Dr. Canada moved to the suburbs and Waiting for Superman, the documentary we'll get into, that you were in also. I'm again amidst greatness here as we've got a Hollywood actor over here.
Nice.
Um, that was crazy seeing you, bro. It was so cool. But he moved to Wyandanch,
Yes, he did.
which is where I started out teaching. That's where I did my student teaching.
Look at that.
And it was in '03, O'Sheel, and it was honestly one of the craziously is not a word, but craziest, amazing, beautiful experiences. And I say crazy, I mean using that as my little slang, like crazy cool. Like it was beautiful, man. My students were amazing. I worked with some great people. I learned so much. It was my first time ever stepping foot in a classroom. But also the home to the godfather of modern day emceeing, Rakim. Okay.
Allah.
And so you know what I'm talking about? So I started out in Wyandanch, man. Forget about it, man. Like oh, Rakim's great, man. Like I won't even get into. I gave a talk in California, and I did a whole thing, and I talked about Rakim when I worked in Wyandanch, and I did a parallel to him and a guy named Jack Kerouac, who was a writer and who wrote spontaneous prose, which is first thought, right thought, sort of like freestyle, like hip hop. The dude just put the pen to the paper. So it was cool. But man, yeah, wine dance, man. I would have students come back from like, the day before and it was the high school, then you had the field, then you had the middle school. I worked
Mm.
at Milton L. Olive Middle School, and one of my students, the big staples down his head, big gang fight, man, got hit with a pipe, the whole 9 yards. And it was real. This wasn't just talking about it on like, Instagram. This was like you had, and I listen. It's happening face to face nowadays. Obviously, it's a tragedy. Well, let's talk about that in a little bit. How we could assist in resolving that too, because I think it's people like our generation, Achille, you, myself, people who have seen the world in a much through a much different lens,
Right.
through a much, dare I say, more unified lens where we didn't have all the distraction of all of this disinformation, misinformation, all of these bubbles of social media that put people in their own little, like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Their own little bubbles, which he can harkens back to our last interview with Julian Treasure. He talked about that, the thought bubbles. And we'll talk about that. Let's explore that. All right, so listen.
So,
Hey,
okay. So I will just go really quickly. So I did that. I was a long-term substitute teacher, and they gave me some of the most challenging classes. I never like to use the word worst whenever I'm dealing with kids, right? Because I don't believe in labeling kids like that. I think they are geniuses in all of our children. So, but it was a very challenging classroom, mainly because I didn't have any formal training as an educator, but I had the the skill to be able to relate to young people, right? Especially those that I believed had similar upbringing or experiences such as myself. So I did that. And afterwards, I also took another job at the Mental Institute at Albany Medical Center. So it was the psychiatric floor. Fun times, did that for 3.5 years until I said it's time for me to go back home. And I got a job at Mount Vernon, A.B. Davis Middle School as a eighth grade math teacher. Again, um, if you know about Mount Vernon, it's a large urban school district as well. So you think about all the disparities and issues, they had it, but I excelled in that position because I was able to make connections, build relationships, and then really crystallize the mathematical concept in such a way that it was easy for the young people to digest and be able to demonstrate an understanding or mastery on the teacher made assessments. And then it was at that time I had a friend who worked at Harlem Children's Zone, who we went to school at the University of Albany together. And he said, "Hey, you want to make some extra money? They have this position called after school math specialist." I said, "Sure." I didn't have any kids. I had all the time in the world. I was broke. I needed the extra money. So I did it. So I would go to Mount Vernon, work until around 2:45, then drive to Harlem to get there by 4. And I would work from 4 to 9:30 as an after school math specialist. And then afterwards, we had to write a report to give to the director that says how many students we saw, what were the topics that we covered, like real mathematical concepts and topics. And so I started doing both. And a funny story that I know Jeff always talks about is two interactions that we had in an elevator. The first one was like when we first met, I heard you doing wonderful things in our after school programs. I would love to have more males, especially black males, to serve as role models for our students so they could see what's possible when you do the hard work and you're very consistent and disciplined. So 6 months later, I joined the Harlem Children's Zone as a seventh grade math, which was when I met you. Funny enough, I was hired to be a seventh grade math, but then there was a teacher who quit literally 3 weeks in, and they gave me the eighth grade, and they said they were looking for a new math teacher. I guess they're still looking because I ended up doing grades. I
So
had
did you do the tutoring a year before that, or did you not even do? So
I
you
did,
did the tutoring
I did the
prior
after
to that.
I did the after school part time in '05.
Okay.
Position to be the full time math teacher the following year, which is where I met you and Chris Finn and
Yes, and so many others. We'll talk about them. You know
many.
what's so crazy, bro? I also worked with adults with developmental differences, bro. And I also worked in facilities with people with severe
Yes.
um, uh, 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 developmental differences, such as, whether it's pica, eating things off the ground, or, um, you know, hitting their head on the wall, to, things that were very, very, that were, that was very difficult, to manage as somebody who is like 20 years young. I was young, I was like you, Achil, trying to make it, man. There is nobody going to pay my bills. You know what I'm talking about? And if I wanted to go do something, I had to do it. And listen, man, like,
Absolutely. And
you know,
that's the
crazy, bro.
that's the work ethic. I think that's really the focus we have to bring back
Yes,
in our health
yes.
and obviously in our schools and community, because this resilience or perseverance we're seeing now, well, not just now, but it's really a focus now that these soft skills are necessary for not just collegiate, being success at the higher level, but in life and in career, right? So when I first got there and then I met Jeff a year later, the school wasn't doing well in terms of New York State assessments for ELA and math. So much so, there's a story that, the board member at the time probably was going to think about giving the school to another network, right? And it just so happened, talking about serendipity, it just so happened that year I came in for as the seventh and eighth grade math teacher because that teacher left. So imagine having four block periods, block schedules, meaning 90
That's
minute
right.
periods. So 90, 90, 90, 90,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I literally didn't even have time to run to the bathroom unless somebody, right? So it was a lot of work and a lot because it was, two different grades, two different subjects, two different
Oh yeah.
sets of lesson plans. And I remember we had Padella, we had Shakira Brown, we had Miss Ramos, we had you, we had
E Holquist.
uh,
Holcomb.
Mr. Holquist,
Mr.
ELA.
Holquist.
We had
Great,
Mr.
man.
Holquist, ELA. That's right. We had Miss Chari, if you remember, who's the
Man,
other.
Miss Chari was awesome, man. Miss Chari out of India, man. She was great, Miss
So
Chari, man.
what happened
Absolutely.
was that these.
Ralphie Haynes, man. Ralphie Haynes.
Oh, I remember. Hey, oh, hey, I remember. Hey,
Ralphie, man. We would rhyme in the faculty room, man.
absolutely. And even man,
Oh,
the
wait, bro, you can start me, bro.
teacher, I forgot his name.
Which one? Which one?
The young PE teacher. I have him on
Oh,
my.
oh, 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 bro. I got it right now. I got him right now. Mr. Schneff.
Yes, there you go.
Mr. Schneff,
Neff,
bro.
Neff,
He was awesome.
Mr.
He
Neff.
was a
So
good dude, man.
we
Or
had
Neff,
a
Neff,
team.
Mr.
What
Neff,
I
Mr. Neff.
remembered about that team, and it stuck
Great
with
dude.
me, is that we really cared about the kids. You could tell because we showed up every day. Some of us, I know for a fact, for 2 years straight, I didn't even take one day off. Like,
Yeah, bro.
okay. So, and I remember meeting Jeff the second time. He was worried about the scores, and he said, I think he had asked a coach. He gave him an answer he didn't like. Then he asked me. I don't know if it was arrogance or confidence, but I said all my kids would pass because I knew what it would take for me to get there. I would stay after school every single day. I would come in on Saturday school if I had to. During the break, whether it was spring break or winter break, I would do
You
those
did
things.
it, bro. I remember you killed it that year, bro.
Fighting a
Yo,
discipline.
you are on, dude. Honestly, like,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, like, let me just say a shield, just to like sort of verify what you're saying. I worked with you that year, man,
yeah.
and I also got to give. Was it Julius, man, from out of down in Brooklyn, man, Canarsie area. He played drums, but he was like a teacher's aide.
Okay, okay.
Oh man, oh gosh, man, the dude was awesome, bro. He was like me, like a little stocky dude, man. Oh man, what was his name, man? The dude was just, oh man, bro. You
Right.
know you're probably gonna see this here, kick my butt, but you already know you my boy, man. Come on. Because me and him, man, we would talk all day. And he was it Julius, man? Darn, man, I apologize. So, just to say, those students, man, in that year, first off, I love those students. I think everybody was bought in, man, to what Jeff's vision was, to what Dr. Canada's vision was. And there was a time period, man, where, like I said, man, we were much, it was so unified in so many ways, man.
Yeah.
Like we were all just like on one vibration, bro. Like our heart was all beating together, bro. You guys would come to my crib in the boogie down.
Nick, we believe, right? Here's a special power in belief, right? Especially when it comes to education and these young people. If you have the belief, right, that these young people can do well, can thrive, can achieve, then there's nothing within you that's not going to try to figure out all the permutations for how to get it done. You're not going to have any excuses. I grew up in a no
Yeah.
sense, no excuse household with my parents. Stop making excuses, make a way. Stop making excuses, come up with solutions, right? So that
Poster in Harlem Children's Zone, end of the hallway. I don't know if you remember it. Excuses are the nails that build a house of failure. It
so
was on a poster at the end. Do you remember that poster?
remember that. And so, because we had belief in these young people and we had high expectations, if you remember, those kids came from several other public schools that they were kicked out of, some of them three different public schools. So, the world, society said they were not going to be successful and they were not able to be educated. Right? This is just a fact. But we
Mhm.
believe differently. We said, if you give us the time with these young people and they can see that we are truly, genuinely here for them, that builds trust. And in those communities, trust is like gold, right?
Mm,
Like it's
absolutely.
sacred because so many people enter their lives and exit almost just as quickly. So they trusted us, and then so therefore they really worked. So that year we were in the teens. I forgot, maybe 15, 16% in math. And that first year when I came in, we went from 16% to 67%.
This
As
is crazy, bro.
folks was like, what?
Roland Fryer did that study, bro.
Huh?
Roland Fryer
He
did
did.
that study
So
that was in Waiting for Superman.
he did. And especially the following year, we went from 67% to 97%. And then it kept on going. And then I started
Mm.
going and moving up with them, right? So from seventh and eighth grade to ninth grade, from ninth grade to 10th grade. And then Mr. Canada said, listen, man, what you're doing is amazing. So we need to figure it out if you could do it for other teachers. And, basically made me the math coach. And a few years later, he came again. He said there was a school downstairs, an elementary school that was underperforming at that time and needed a new change. And I think he asked several people, because fear of failure, they did not take the position. And he said to me, and I quote, like the late great Kobe Bryant, some of us have options and choices, and some of us are drafted. You've been drafted. And again, as a cocky or arrogant or just plain confidence in my skills and ability, depending on who's viewing it, people have different opinions. I said, hey, if I don't have the best school in a year, you could fire me. And and again, because I knew what I was going to do every single day to ensure um, that our students were well prepared, were safe, were happy, and they were thriving. But if I remember one time you were in your classroom, there are many stories in your classroom,
We're
whether
talking about me now,
talking about you, whether playing music or being entertaining. I'm not going to say loud, I'm going to say animated.
bro. Oh, you're the best.
Very animated. And those kids, the smiles on their faces,
Oh,
asking you questions. When young people are engaged and young people are in tune in terms of what's happening within the classroom, that's
oh,
when you have an educator that is
oh,
not about policy, not about reform or just any other political ideologies. It's
oh.
just about the kids. And for me, any human being, any educator, because I think those that we are a special group of people that do
Mhm.
not get the recognition we deserve.
Absolutely.
But anyone who is patient enough, loving enough, empathetic and sympathetic enough to be able to understand young people, the environment from which they come from, and are willing to help them figure it out by guiding and facilitating amazing instruction, those people are always good humans in my eye, and you were one of
Yeah.
those people, right? Because
Oh,
be honest, right?
thank you.
Let's be honest. Not a lot of people finish their teacher preparation programs and want to go either in the inner city or in large urban school districts. It's just not the case. So
Yeah.
there's a dearth of teachers out there
Thank you.
in those. So when I find
Thank you, brother.
comrades, my colleagues,
You know it, bro.
who are like, no, this is about
That's
the
what it is.
I understand them because of my upbringing and experiences, and I want to make sure I put them in another trajectory or pathway for them to be able to be successful, not just in as a academic, but as a citizen to be able to live good and healthy and happy lives.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
are to me are angels, and those people should be recognized and celebrated way more than
Uh,
other professions that are more entertaining but not
yes.
life changing.
You just, bro, I'm gonna say this, bro. Yo, love you, kid. That's all I'm say, bro. Like, honestly, man, like coming from you, that's like the greatest badge of honor an educator could ever wear. Those words that you just said to me, you seen what I done, bro. You
Uh,
know it. It bounces off of me, goes right back to you. I'm rubber, you're glue. Is that what the kids said back in the day? Right? That's how I feel about you, Achil. And hey, listen, Achil, you know it's crazy. I'm still doing that, bro. I'm still doing that like high energy. I'm still doing that like just like you know what it is, bro. I'm still doing that as KRS-One would call it edutainment, right? You know what I'm talking about. I'm
that's right.
still doing that
Teacher.
keeping it real, baby. I'm still doing that. Let's keep that real right now. Like it's time to like teach. And I learned a lot of that in Harlem, bro. I learned a lot of that in Harlem. We're going to talk about that in a second. You just blew my mind. That was too kind of you, brother. I will always remember that and just know I feel the same exact way about you. And I'm so glad that we're reconnected, man. Like for real, bro. We're gonna be collabing down the road. I already know it, man. We could change the world, bro. People like us, like literally us, we could change the world. The
And we
people
have,
we
right? And we have.
yeah.
That's the thing, right? If we're just so for me, I do believe so. Educators, period, play such a pivotal, critical, important role in young people's lives, right? If you can look at a senator, former president, you can look at an entrepreneur, you can look at a Wall Street person, a movie um, actor or actress, and quite often they will refer back to an amazing experience they had with a teacher. Me, for example, I talk about this ad nauseum. When I was in high school, I talked about my fifth grade teacher. When I was in undergrad, I did. When I was in grad school, I did. In my doctoral program, I did about this
Who is
one.
this fifth grade teacher? Who is this?
Miss Lima, she's since retired about maybe 4 years ago from the Nyack School District. And in fifth grade, she held me accountable. And she was also the first Black teacher, female teacher I had. So, back then we're snapping, we're wrestling, we're very physical, and we're giving her a hard time. And she pulled me aside and said, I expect more from you. Matter of fact, I demand more from you. I know you can do better. And you're embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing your family, and you're embarrassing me. Not
Mm,
just uh, as a child in the classroom, but you look like you could be a son of mine. Um, those words hit like a ton of bricks, and it changed me, right? At least
mm.
in her class for sure. So I started paying attention. Matter of fact, students who were out of pocket or out of control, I would redirect them and was like, no, you're not going to disrespect Miss Lima, not in her class. So we
God
have
bless Miss Lima.
we have that power, right? With great power come great responsibility. I just
Yes.
that all of us are making the decision to enter this field, but yet doing it from a place of love, because in the end, we have the power to shape, to accelerate, to grow, but at the same time, unfortunately, we have the power to break and destroy hopes and dreams of young
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
If we enter a classroom with someone that is not about kids or young people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's
Absolutely. The shield. It's like you.
my thing. Yeah.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, my brother. I apologize. I was going to say, like how you mentioned earlier on, that guidance counselor to try to derail you. I think that's sort of like maybe a little bit of a fire in you. I have had people in my life tell me you can't do this, you can't do that. My own internal feelings of academics, like being in high school in New York back in the 80s and 90s,
Right.
like man, people really weren't getting in my neighborhood, like on my street. You had a lot of issues, a lot of things going on. You know what I'm talking about? So you were just sort of trying to like socially fit in, and trying just to be,
Yeah.
oh, that
I had
social that peer aspect really ties into who we become later as adults. And when we realize, man, you know what? You do you as a child, as a young person, have your social interactions, but you focus. If we could teach the ability to for young people to discipline their minds, it would be it would be
absolutely
massively
like
important.
Nick, I've had so many setbacks, unfortunate circumstances, barriers. Like if you were to list 30 of them, I promise you I've either experienced them or encountered them in close proximity or had a friend, family member, or colleague, right? But I never ever believe, nor will I ever allow myself to be labeled or become a victim, ever.
Yeah.
I mean, academically
Oh
or
yeah.
physically, you understand what I'm saying? Because a
Oh yeah.
misunderstanding could lead to
Yep.
much understanding. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
So
Listen, we
I don't
used to we
believe.
used to get down in the faculty room, little UFC some
Ah,
maneuvers, you and I.
yeah.
I always lost though, bro. Come on. Such good times,
Listen, I
man.
didn't want to. I didn't want to say it or bring that up, man.
I
But
loved it. We were so good to each other, but see, we cared
absolutely,
about each other, man. That's why we're still talking to each other like this. I don't mean to detract or
right, right.
take away from what you were just saying. I apologize, but
No,
yeah, that victim mentality. Obviously, it's something nowadays, man, and it's something. Hey, can I say this too, bro? It's interesting to Shield.
mhm.
So after Harlem, well, you know what happened? You know why I left Harlem, bro? I don't know if you remember this, but I ended up getting something called Bell's palsy, man. My
Yeah,
whole left side of my face was paralyzed, bro.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I couldn't teach for like 6 months. So I had to leave my place in the Bronx where you and Ernst came to visit me
right.
out in Pelham area and right by the park. And I had to move back here with my family, man. My parents and people pitied me. I had relatives calling me, "Oh, Nikki, how you doing? How you doing?" And people would look at me like, and I couldn't even like brush my teeth. Water would come dribbling out of my mouth, and it was like basically a stress-related illness, from what we understand. They don't even know what causes it. It's a virus that eats away your nervous system. Thank God, everything's good. But so I had to leave there. It really, really took my life for a little bit of a turn. I ended up doing some subbing in local schools when I got back on my feet. Ended up getting back in the Bronx like the next year. Doctor said, "Don't do it," and I said, I got no money. I got to do this. So we're about to go back in that boogie down, and we're gonna do this." So I ended up moving back into the building that you guys had seen
Very
me at.
close to each other during that time because I was in the Bronx too during those times. All those time I was living in the Bronx as well. Very close to you.
Man, yeah, bro. I know. I remember that, man. Where were you in the Bronx? Parkchester?
No, Pelham Parkway. So
Oh, Pelham Parkway, bro. Exit 3 off the Hutch.
3W exactly.
Three dubs.
Literally 5 minutes from the Bronx Zoo. Yeah.
I know it. I know exactly, baby. And
Yeah.
off the Hutch, you have the Einstein Medical School over
Yep.
there. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Enough.
Smart.
My
You know
brother
it.
ended up going to Einstein for his
Oh,
medical
wow.
school. And
Oh,
so
God bless. Oh,
yeah.
so, that's cool. That's cool. So your brother became a doctor?
Yeah, he's a heart surgeon. Mhm.
Oh, good for
Yeah.
him, man. Good for him. Yo, so you got a bunch of doctors in your
Yeah.
family.
He's
There's
at
some good genes going on there.
Vanderbilt University right now.
Good for him. Hey, man, big shout out to the parents, man. So I'm going to start it out right there. Hey, listen, before I go there, uh, not to digress, but hey, listen, uh, so end up going. Okay, listen. Long story short, my girlfriend, now my wife, Lisa TSP, told all about you. You'll love her. She's phenomenal. She's gonna love you when you guys meet. And she's my life force, man. You know, forget about it. 15 years ago, bro. So we drive across America, end up in an area by in Monterey, California, bro. Yeah, she literally had no money. Lived in a bedroom in a trailer in the fields, bro. Now listen, I worked with people, bro. Michelle, for some reason, I say God put me in all these places, bro. Because from Harlem to the fields in Cali, some of the most beautiful people in both places, to being in West Virginia in a rural area where you have a lot of people who will be in poverty. Can I tell you, Ashil, can I tell you something, brother? And now I've lived it. Now I've lived working with all of these different regions of America, all you know, I could sit here and I could say it, bro. What we do in the classroom, the way you and I do it, that's how it's got to keep on being done.
Right.
Because every one of my students in all of these, and then I worked at colleges as Shield, and I worked in Atherton, the wealthiest zip code in the country, the same town as Facebook and Instagram at Menlo College, and I lectured business communications and media and society. And Ashil, in 2015, they said it was unprecedented. They gave me the Faculty of the Year award. I didn't have my doctorate at the time, brother. You know me, bro. You know where I started from.
They
You
saw
know, we,
something.
but
Saw
we
something.
believed,
They
and
saw
it's like,
something.
that's why, Ashil. You know what it is? It's what you said. It's the intention. When an educator has the right intention, the students feel it. So the question is, how do we give these educators right now
Yep.
that right intention? How do we instill that right
Okay.
intention?
So a couple of things. I believe we must do a better job in preparing our future educators at universities and colleges. I really think so.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother.
Because I remember when going to the program, I was like, oh, these case studies, which I would do, I got all, A's. I'm graduating with good grades. I'm like, whew, this is easier than I thought. A classroom with, 30 kids, multiple learners, right? Multiple behavior issues and learning disabilities. And I was like, whoa, wasn't prepared for that. So I
That's
think
right.
we need to seriously do we need to transform that practice and recreate it. And
Absolutely,
that
love that.
has to happen.
Love that.
I think, too, if I am a person who received a job in Pulaski, Tennessee, um, I would have to figure out the norms, beliefs, values, principles, wants, and needs of that community, more specifically, those young people. Then I have to adapt and be able to meet them where they are and not take my experiences from large urban communities and just say that one size fit all. I have to be able to understand those people, the community, and to be able to educate them properly. And I think, how do you have that mindset? How do you really stay focused to your core value in terms of why you got into this profession? And then what can you do daily, monthly, and yearly to keep that fire burning? Because these kids need us. So I
Yeah,
think there has to be
yeah.
a lot of that. I think that before we throw a young person inside a classroom, there should be at least 2 to 3 years of mentorship with a highly effective teacher that is just not effective in terms of like academic outcomes and performances, but relationship building and the way they are innovative and figure out the best ways to educate each and every child within their classroom.
Amen.
I think when you do that, you are not equipping them with a lot of skills and experiences, the know-how, and soon enough, the expertise to be able to now go inside a classroom and really shake it up and be successful. Because then they're
Yeah,
going to
man.
learn in real time what is it that those successful, highly effective teachers are doing that is yielding the kind of results we want. But to be able to do that, I also think that I said earlier we need to recognize them, but we also have to celebrate them. I think that
Right.
this country has to have a real focus on the educational system in this country, which mean that you need to make it a priority,
Absolutely.
just like we make other things like a priority, right? Like the military, right? Or big pharma or whatever. So you make it a priority, which means if you have young people sitting in a classroom of a professional who has the ability to shape and change your life, I think you need to pay them way more than what we are starting them with. In some states, in some cities, you have people with master's degrees that are making mid 30s or 40s. That is ridiculous. That is just ridiculous because essentially I can get a job at a warehouse or at Walmart or Target and make the same thing, and yet I don't have the pressures for student outcomes and test scores and
Yeah.
safety, right?
Stress is a lot less,
But
man.
if you change that, you then now get a pool of quality candidates that know the value of the educational system and are being paid handsomely for it because it's too important not to, right? Because if you want citizens who are going to eventually be the leaders of this country, they must be equipped with the skill set. Now, I'm not saying that the academic pathway is the only way. No, right? Just because you are educated
Absolutely.
educational institution doesn't make you smart or intelligent. But conversely, just because you're not doesn't make you stupid or
That's
ill-informed.
right.
Right,
That's
right?
right.
Because I think it's what you do with the information that, in my opinion, that
Absolutely.
determine how smart you are. But I think when we change the focus, I mean, all of us, all states, regardless of blue or red, right, Republican or Democrat or independent, here's the one thing we have in common, whether it be in Pulaski, Tennessee, or somewhere in the Middle East, in the Northwest, East Coast, we want the best for our own kids. That I know for certain.
Absolutely, brother.
Those who are
That's
parents,
right.
that we want safe, we want our kids to be safe. We want them to be fully educated. We want them to be happy and healthy, and we want them to be gainfully employed in the end.
Yes.
So they could stop uh, eating our foods and staying under our roofs, right? Which it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are or your political aspirations or ideas are. We want that for sure. So if we all could agree on that, then we all have to make sure that we're making the types of noises to our state representatives
Mm,
or whatever to be able to
yeah.
say, let's make a priority, because other countries are doing so. They have been doing so, and they are leading the charge. And for a country that is so powerful and has all the means and resources, we can do a better job with our educational institution. Now, that also means if we're giving, because I like to give, bend don't break, but at the same time, I'm going to require other things too from our educators, right? Those who don't like the word accountability, and those who are there for either a check or just waiting to retire, right? We have a lot of those people, and
Mm,
they dirty the name educator because people like to pull all educators together, which is not true.
that's right.
And
That's
so
right.
for me is that if I'm willing to be able to treat education like rock stars and movie stars, we also have to improve on
Yes.
the accountability. So
And Sheila, well said, bro. And I absolutely agree with everything you just said. And you know, I was going to say what's interesting, man. Social media. now that these young people have been born with it in their hands, you know what I've noticed, Achille, from being all around this country? And like I said, most incredible experiences in Harlem, New York, in Salinas, California, in North Central West Virginia, some of the most beautiful people. And I've noticed that social media has neutralized the first off the accents of a lot of young people. When I was in New York just recently,
Right.
and I met a couple of young kids, I was like, man, interesting. A little more just, not as much how you doing, how's everything going? It's a
Yeah.
little more neutral. In Cali, they've always been a little more, neutralized.
Yeah.
West Virginia, you meet some younger people more neutralized ways of speaking and older people. But it also goes to the thought process too. Now people have been immersed in differences from them.
Right.
Like back in the day, like we said, brother, like in order to go like meet somebody new, you had to ride your bike or walk over to their house and knock on their door, right? You couldn't go to their Facebook page or whatever page and like, oh, this is this person. Like you had those real communicative interactions where that's what let people like you and I do what we do the way we do it
Right.
because we are powerhouses in communication. Like we are forces, Achille. And right now we are so kicked back, chill, because we're in our vibe and just chilling out. But you put us in a classroom, um, Achille, who is the warrior in the classroom, comes out. Like when I say, like, man, like I use your classroom management techniques, like just watching you in the classroom, the way that you would be so stoic and so strong and but you would elicit those you said students were hanging on my words, man. Every student was, you heard a pin drop in your
Yeah.
classrooms.
Yeah.
It was awesome, man. But I just want to say that, man, it's interesting how social media has neutralized, I believe, the thought process and psychology of young people,
Yeah.
where now they're saying to themselves, like you said, somewhere in deep Alabama, somewhere in the middle portion of Nebraska, right? Well, they understand what's going on now in LA. They understand what's going on maybe in like a Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or Harlem, New York. It's like they're like, okay, this is how people are behaving. It's not just like on your like 10 o'clock news one time.
Right.
But you know what it is, Ashil? We live by the images that we hold in our mind. And these young people from all over the world, not just America, but all over the world, but we'll just focus on America, they watch these things on their social media networks. So, in essence, it's like they're living there also. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I do. I do.
It's interesting. So,
Yeah.
what, in a way, yeah, it's wild. But can I say on a positive aspect, in a positive aspect of education, why that we should use that to our advantage? Now, like you said, it makes it easier to assimilate, differences, coming from different regions, right? So if I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm going to, uh, Salinas, California, or Atherton, California, or Morgantown, West Virginia, and I'm going to these regions. People over have already met people like me. They're like, okay, yeah, we've seen you before. We've heard people with your accent. So it allows people to understand each other a little more. But
Yeah.
now it's a double-edged sword, man, because
You
I
know,
am not
so
the I'm not the big guy on social media.
let me add to that and agree with you by saying, so here's the thing with social media. I always tell people this all the time. You mention it. We needed something. I know for a fact with me, I had to go to my local library, look at the encyclopedia, thesaurus, or books, right? Sometimes you get it for, if it was a hot book, 2 weeks, sometimes a month, right? But then you have to bring it back. And if you didn't have access to a computer or, books in your,
Dude, so hard.
we're limited, right?
Yeah.
So I tell kids now, there shouldn't be any reason to use the internet and social media for good, right? Obviously, we could use anything for bad, right? But that really tells who you are as a person, right? Because social media should never change your philosophy, your thought process, and definitely should not change your values, your core principles, right?
Mm.
So, but however, social media has grant us access to a number of things, to a number of people. So the connections, you could make newer connections and be able to communicate people not only domestically but internationally, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And access is an amazing thing. But here's the key to it, I think. It allows us to innovate. And we were just talking about the educational system. I think we need to innovate. Think about TVs. We innovated and look what they are now. Same thing as cell phones, the internet, laptops, computers, you name it. We just have to be able to do that in the entire educational system, especially if we well, I do, hold educators at such a high regard that we need to innovate. And if we innovate, then we have to adapt to the new changes, adapt to the new shifts, and then allows us to adopt, right? New beliefs, new strategies, new techniques, new understanding, right? And so I think in doing so, you could use social media for good, just like anything else. And yeah, so I'm agreeing with you.
And Sheil, man, this is a perfect segue to get into Ennoble Academic Services. And I want to talk a bit about this for a moment. But, I want to sort of just extrapolate for one more moment on that thought process,
Sure.
because innovation is everything. We live, our education system in America is based upon the Prussian education system. Horace Mann, back in the late 1800s, goes out to Eastern Europe, comes back to America with the system that we have now, the Bell system, right? And that obedience, that total obedience to authority, which, hey, it's very important to have respect, and it is important to have obedience, but it's also very important to innovate, create, and to utilize all of what we know about Bloom's taxonomy in order to, evaluation analysis, to cross over to Maslow, to, really self-actualize, to really understand who the heck we are as people. Like you're doing it, like how you and I, Ashil, have put many years into our craft as being. Now you're a leader in education. I'm an educator, a practitioner, a leader in the classroom. You're somebody who's created policy. So listen, we've already had you on for over an hour, so we're gonna go for a little bit longer, and then next
So
time we have you on.
I have time. I've
All
carved
right,
out.
cool. So, so we'll explore for a moment the aspect of leadership and some of your some how you make those decisions, because that to me seems like it's
So
heavy.
here's what I will say. So after I was successful as a school principal, and in July of 2014, I was promoted to become the superintendent. So basically, if you think about the micro classroom, I took all of my philosophies, beliefs, approaches, and scaled it at the admin level as a coach and principal. And I was like, oh, it works, right? Because if you're supporting your teachers, if you have their back, and if you're training them and giving them the tools and resources, I promise you, those teachers are going to work for you. They're going to show up and show out. I
Mm,
think the opposite, we start to see why so many people leave the field. And so, as
right. Great
superintendent,
point.
I'm charged to improve ELA outcomes or reading outcomes, and then to align best practices and just, make sure that we are one district as opposed to 8 independent schools that were operating in silos, right? So I say all that to say that I don't believe a number of things. Two things. One, you could be a leader if you don't have the ability to be led. So
That's deep. I like that, man.
I say you can learn something from anyone, any age, regardless of degrees or not, regardless of position of status or not, you can learn something from anyone. But it's whether or not you're willing to learn is the key, right? So that's one. And two, I don't think
Absolutely.
anywhere in life without someone who believes in you and are dedicating their time and hours to mentor you, coach you, and develop you. And I was blessed enough that I had that for my entire leadership journey in Harlem, right? Because the journey is not over, the work is nowhere near done under Geoffrey Canada, right? So when we look at how he approached education, especially for young people in distressed communities or underserved communities, whatever tagline we want to
Hmm.
use, it's this idea of there is always a solution. We just have to be able to try, just try, right? There's nothing wrong with trying. I think there's
Yeah.
something wrong with not trying. So I learned that from Jeff. And I've also learned that data is important, right? It's objective, right? You and I could have opinions about who's the greatest boxer of all time, who's the best football team,
There's a couple. There's a couple. Don't start with me. Ah,
hopefully you
Tyson.
don't,
I love Tyson. But Ali,
hopefully you
come
don't
on.
say
Marciano.
you don't say the Cowboys, right? You say the Giants. But anyway, those are opinions, and it's okay to have different opinions. I think in having an opinion, though, as long as you're able to uh, stand in my position or my shoes and see why I have that view, I think we can have discourse and conversations respectfully. But when you're looking at data objectively and it's a fact, you have to be able to collect the data, use the data, and then make changes based on what the data is suggesting. So,
Absolutely.
so I've learned that from Jeff. So I'm not the leader that I am today without the coaching and mentorship of someone who is more who is way more seasoned than I am, have way more experiences than I do, and have been in the education field longer than I have. It would be uh hate using that word, but it would be stupid of me to think that I would not need someone to help me become even better than what I imagine or think in my own mind. So
Hmm.
I say that to say when I was a principal or the superintendent over the last 10 years, that has always been my focus. Extend my arm back, pull others up, coach and guide them to be
Always
able
been like that.
them in a position of power because I see the importance of that clearly, and I didn't want to be selfish enough and not give back. So I have trained and mentored, my God, 30 plus young people that are currently in positions now because I saw what it did for me. And I think that if you are good at something, you should be able to help others to be just as good as you, if not better than you are, right? The mark of a
Absolutely.
is one that is servant, but two, one who can train and develop his subordinates to one day do his or her job.
And that's
Right?
a true leader. Because I was talking about that's a true leader, how that would be defined.
That is one definition that I have. Another definition
Yeah.
is your ability uh, to convince a group of people to do what they say they would do, what they promise they would do. That's another one that I like. I don't like to get really complicated with all of these definition of what true leader. I just think if you are a person who has influence and can really impact and change lives for the better, I think it's a mark of a leader, and one that is servant, meaning regardless if I am the superintendent, I should be able to go inside the halls of our schools and pick up paper, roll my sleeves up, and be a lunch monitor or help to deal with a child who is struggling either academically or behaviorally, right? That's what serving is, right? Like you should be able to do that because you cannot ask anything from your staff that either A, you cannot do, B, you're not willing to do, or C, they themselves are not seeing you doing it as well.
You're amazing, man. Hey, listen, and I apologize. I didn't mean to have you reiterate that true leader thing. I think I mentioned something and I didn't hear what you said. I apologize, bro.
No, no,
Um,
it's
but
good.
dude, like, absolutely everything you're saying, man, is gold. And so you were a superintendent for what, like a decade?
For a decade from
Wow, man.
July 2014 to August of last year. August.
Oh, that is massive. Hey,
Um,
bro. So can we just say go back? So born in Haiti. What part of Haiti were you born in, man?
so I was in the southwest of Haiti, so not even the capital. I would what you call our the country, right? In the mountains, right? Very mountainous region of Haiti. A young kid coming here, language issues, barriers. So I was a L child, right? You're talking about free and reduced lunch. I was all of that. So all of those. So and then again, I didn't get into real details, but I'm sure you could fill in the blanks in terms of like a number of complications or misunderstandings that
Well,
I
you told me back in the day, man, like in back when we used to hang, like,
yeah,
growing up in Haiti, you seen some tough stuff, man.
I did.
And Ernst, did you grow up with Ernst out there too?
So I grew up in Ernst when we met in elementary school here. So we
Okay, so he's from here. So he didn't, so you guys didn't, he wasn't in Haiti with you.
no, no, we were in different parts. That's like saying
Okay, he was in different parts of Haiti. Okay.
was in New York and I was in Georgia,
Yeah, right on.
something
So
like that. Yeah.
and for everybody, Ernst Lejeune is an incredible math educator. Is Ernst still teaching?
Yes, he's in Mount Vernon, so he's still an educator as well.
Yeah, Ernst.
Yeah.
Big ups, bro. Hey, love you, bro. You already know it, man. Come on.
He's gonna see
Great.
this. And he's gonna see
Oh,
this. Plus, I'm gonna tell him. He
oh,
knows.
one of the best smiles I've ever seen, man. Ernst, man, lights up the entire room, man. Just listen, and down the road we'll do some collab stuff. I
But
truly believe in my heart of hearts that there's something big that will just continue to do what we're doing, but things that we could really help, like you said, transform lives. I said to Chris Finn when we had him on the show, I said, Chris, like, I think education should not be transactional, it should be transformative. It should not just be like, hey, here you coming in today. Let's get here's the ditto. All right, kids, here's my check. It should be like, hey, listen, I got something for you today. I'm gonna do my best. We're in obviously an interesting world with the technologies and the phones and all that stuff. So there's a couple different things, that teachers compete with. However, it explains different difficulties, but it doesn't excuse not trying. Right, brother. It doesn't matter how difficult somebody is in front of you. And I've worked with students of from elementary to students of 80s working in colleges and worked with students in alternative schools. And like we've worked in Harlem and worked with people who had tough goes, man. Not everybody had an easy thing going on. And I tell you this,
yep,
those people right there, yeah, those people can become CEOs, doctors, presidents, you, me. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right, right.
So that's why, Achil, it's fascinating. And last question on it. So you came here 86. What year were you born? And I'll do the math. 78?
No, 77. So I was,
Oh, you're an old man. I'm 78. You're an old man, bro. What are
I
you,
was
48, bro? You're 48?
no October will be, but no, I'm not.
So
Yeah,
we're
so
both 47
I
still.
was eight and three quarters when I came here. So yeah, trust me, I've seen a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So from eight coming in, migrating out of Haiti, obviously, to a brand new culture in Nyack. And for people who don't know Nyack, Nyack's a wonderful place, like Achille said earlier. Really, really cool spot just above New York City. But like you're just above New York City, you're gonna have a lot of people. It's very densely populated, so you have a lot going on. Um, but just think about that, man. Like 40 years later, bro, look what you accomplished. Just 30 years to become the or 29 years, whatever it would be, to become the superintendent. It goes to show anybody listening in, anybody watching this. I don't care what's going on right now. And I know it could be hard, man. And I'm not trying to be apathetic. I'm with the shield. I'm empathetic. Like, we care about you all, man. But you just remember what Achille be talking about, a little bit of what I mentioned. Man, I promise you. Just take the Shield story. superintendent over a decade. And he just retired from that. So we'll talk about how he's living as a retired gentleman now. Oh,
Well,
you lucky man.
I just
You're
transitioned.
working.
I didn't retire. I just
Yeah.
transitioned to
Yeah.
make way for this, magnificent young lady who mentored, coach, and trained to be able to do that because that was always the plan. So, and 3 years under myself, who is now the new superintendent. So I'm not retired. I just transitioning because it was 20 years in Harlem. It was 20 years at the organization. So I didn't retire.
Yes. 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 I apologize. That doesn't sound like you're done with this whole thing.
No,
Chuck it. We done with education, baby. But now we go to, and my enunciation, if my pronunciation is wrong, I apologize. Is it Ennoble Academic Services?
it is Ennoble Academic Services. That's right.
Okay, so this is the transition point. So listen, so you quote unquote transition retire from superintendency, but education, you are still very active.
And very much an edgy.
So
I
wait, we
don't
say, am I
I don't think
correct
I
where
could
you would?
ever take the cape, educator cape off. I think so. Here's another thing I've learned, and I've learned this from Jeff as well, but in other leadership books that you should never leave an organization or a company as it is doing nosedive. You should always leave it at the highest level, highest success achievement level, which I have, right? So if you look at our scores, we've the last year we've even in mathematics we've outperformed our highest year ever in ELA. So we were able to close the black and white achievement gap for a number of years. And you mentioned Roland Fryer. Well, Roland Fryer did, right, the economist from Harvard. He did kind of like a longitudinal study on us, right? Because of the great work we were doing in Harlem, right? Focusing on young people as at the core of the mission, and then providing wraparound services for these young people to be able to be successful and uh, eventually, right, close the gaps or change the outcomes generationally for young people that are either in Central Harlem or just in underserved communities. So if you
Yeah.
look at that, right, at the highest level, and then having train and develop this new young magnificent young lady who's now the current superintendent, Dr. Saskia Brown, I think now you can feel better in saying that, okay, let's let the next wave come in and then embark on a different journey. It might be in the same capacity, right? But or it could be in just in a as a consultant, which is where for the last year that I've been playing with is the Ennoble Academic Services LLC, focusing on a number of things, but really four pillars or four niche, if you will. That's leadership development, because I think the greatest determining factor for student outcomes are teachers and leaders. So if teachers is first and the leader is second, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, you need to train your next set of leaders to be able to provide the teachers with the tools, resources, and the skills to be able to be
Absolutely.
very highly effective inside the classroom. So I focus on that. Effective instructional strategies, right? Some of the things that really helped me when I was with you in there is because every day I was trying something new. And I came with a lesson. Immediately, I would look in their eyes. And if I saw a disconnect, I would pivot and change and immediately trying to find a different way to present the information. So
Great teacher. That's what great teachers do, brother.
you have to, right? And you have to be able to do that. So effective instructional strategies. I told you about objective data. We were obsessed with data. To me, I don't understand how, because we use data for everything else. So it's almost as if like when it's convenient for us, we use it, but then we want to shy away from it if it's going to hold us accountable. And I don't think we should be afraid of the word accountability,
Right.
because as parents, you're holding us accountable as practitioners and experts to really transform the lives of your most precious commodity, the children, right?
So well said.
So
Absolutely, brother.
data driven decision making. I think every
Yes.
decision should be centered around the data. And I think when you do that right, you could sleep comfortably at home because the data should be about the young people, right? Whether it's how well they are doing, if they're underperforming, or if they're overachieving, because that group of high performers, we still have to acknowledge and pay just as much attention to them to keep
Right.
pushing them ahead and push them forward so they don't relapse and start to display behavior issues as well.
Evolve. Yeah. Devolve. Exactly. Rather than evolve.
And
Exactly.
last but not least, when you think about wraparound services and ongoing coaching and mentorship. So that's what I have focused on as a consultant with Ennoble Academic Services, working
Oh,
with
beautiful.
within the state or outside the state. I mean, I was even blessed and fortunate to do it international, going to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and working with this corporation that's really trying to figure out the best ways to innovate and present education in such a way that the young people would connect to it and be and want to go to school. So I think my experiences, my leadership philosophy, and I think my ongoing coaching, obviously with the success, right? I'm a humble person, but the data is what the data is. This data would suggest that I kind of know
Killing
what
it.
I'm doing, and I kind of know.
You killing it, boy. You killing it, my
I
boy.
think
Come
it
on,
has
let's go.
allowed me to be able
Let's
to do
go.
that and be in good standing with people when I'm creating a plan of action for them, and I'm also walking it with them. So I am a true practitioner. I'm not a
Absolutely.
who is just saying this is what you do and that's it. I'm a person that's gonna walk with you, that's gonna talk with you, that's gonna look at the data with you, that's going to communicate with you, and then talk to you about why, in my opinion, I don't think this is the most effective strategy or direction. Not only because, let's say, research, or more importantly, experience. And I think folks have gravitated toward that. And just like I've said earlier about parents wanting the best for their children, irrespective of the location, I believe educators, school districts want the best for their school. They want to be recognized
Yep.
at a high performing school district. So
Yeah,
they're
they should.
looking for ways and people to help them get there.
Ooh, man, it's so awesome to hear you say this, brother, because it invigorates me, Achil. Because your energy, listen, man, our time period was very special.
Buzz,
We
man.
we saw this world through a different,
And we did.
bro,
We,
crazy, bro. And you know what I love, man, that on your LinkedIn, it says something about, like, you assist with helping people, deal with generational poverty, something along those lines, right? And I like that choice of words, bro, because being around this country and teaching, man, bro, yo, there's people in poverty of all different backgrounds, bro. You know what I'm talking about? And your ideas can reach every one of those people, bro. It's not just marginalized to, like, okay, big city because you were in Harlem. No, you could take your ideas and you could be in rural West Virginia. You could take your ideas and you could be somewhere in, like, maybe a suburb of somewhere, like you said, a Texas, like a Dallas, Texas, somewhere.
absolutely.
Bro, I'm just saying, man, like, that's why.
And I'm not just saying this, Nick, just because I'm an educator. I can recognize real when it's in front of me. For example, I think there's a space for entrepreneurship, ownership, right? Being well versed in finance, right? So, which is why we created this financial literacy program, right? There's space for history because history matters and history is important. It helps to force people to create ways so that we don't repeat history. Because if we do
Yes.
not, we're going to repeat history. It does not matter how much or how strong or how rich you think that empire is, right? You need to look at history and think about all the pitfalls, all the issues
Uh-huh.
that were presented, and to avoid it, right? And I also
Yes.
could look at the skill trades, like a plumber, like a carpenter, like a electrician, right? These people are so amazing, so much so that I was like, if I have spare time, I'm gonna learn electrician, because let me tell you something. In
Oh,
doing
I feel you, bro.
modeling the house or doing any kind of upgrades, the plumbing take your money. The plumber take your
Still
money.
take that cheddar, baby.
The electrician take your money, right? If you want to add the carpet. So for a long time in this in our country, really, people shun from that and trying to disparage that. But I promise you, if you look at any homeowner or any business owner that have high rises, and whether it's downtown New York City or Austin, Texas, or San Francisco, they'll tell you plumbing, electrical work has cost us a lot of money. So I
Oh,
can
yeah.
recognize all of that just to substantiate what I'm saying as an educator, to also say, if we don't focus on education, I don't care if you are in the West, East, South, North, Midwest, you're going to suffer. And let's not wait to see if I'm right, because we can look at decades of data that would suggest I'm right. We
We
could
see it.
we could play ignorant all we want and disregard the data, but I think there should be a focus irrespective of color. And when I mean color, I'm talking about blue and red, or whatever the color of the
Love
individual.
that.
Yeah,
Love that.
I don't know. Because it's for the greater good of the young people we all love, regardless of ethnicity, race, religion, political ideologies. Does not matter. And it
It's
doesn't
us,
matter
bro.
domestically
These
or
young kids are us, bro. These young kids are
absolutely.
us.
Absolutely. So we need to be able to do something different. And I think we have something with Ennoble Academic Services that can really help to transform education, regardless of where you are in this country.
And I'm going to put that link in the YouTube page and in the archive section. So, and I have the link here for everybody who's listening in.
And
That's
I even have my little T-shirt.
yeah, there it is right there. That's a great shirt, actually. And my wife, Lisa TSP, loves birds, man. It's a great, what's that, the bald eagle? Is that an eagle?
That is an eagle. That's right. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's a great one. It's ENNOBLE academicservices.com.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Achil Petit, founder, and the individual who you can work with to better your school district, to get ideas. And Achil, man, like I'm just so blessed to know you, bro, because like we are, you have no idea, man. Like I am so inspired right now, kid.
Likewise, because think about it, right? I remember this young, impressionable teacher who always didn't get it right, but never gave up. And that was you, Nick. Inside the classroom, filled with energy, the young people knew that you cared for them and you loved them. Then you go and get a terminal degree, which means you were motivated and ambitious to achieve more for yourself, able to navigate multiple cities that you lived in, and then now have a thriving podcast. Brother, you too are an inspiration for what is possible if you keep working at it. And
Let's go.
and if you ask yourself maybe 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have known all of this. I sure would not have, right?
Never. Yeah.
You know my background. Some people that know me know my background. You would know that, you know,
You don't play.
whatever higher power you subscribe to, whether it's a religion or spirituality, call it faith, um, a strong support system. If you don't have it inside the household, then if it's outside the household in the form of friends and mentors, colleagues, and then honestly, a bit of luck, I think you meaning every individual that does not see the light at the end of the tunnel, there is absolutely a possibility, an end goal. You just have to continue to work at it, right?
Oh,
And
man,
seeing that
absolutely.
you yourself is that your upbringing, your childhood situation that you went through with Bell's palsy, like all of these things could have made you give up and
Yeah.
made you kind of like say, forget this
Say
world.
I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I could have played the victim.
You didn't do that. So to me, you're an inspiration for other young people to be able to say, hey, look at all these obstacles they overcame. And I think I can do that as well. So I am a realization of what's possible when work ethic, when purpose, discipline, and accountability merge together. So whatever word or acronym you want to throw out at that, to me, I think if you have these four things, you are sure to be successful regardless of the sector, regardless of the field.
What a blessing you are, brother. What a blessing, man. I won't get into like, your family. I'm so curious, man, because we haven't talked in a second. Like, did you get married? Did you have a family? All that stuff. I won't even get to that. We'll do that off air.
Okay,
We'll get
cool.
that. We'll talk off air. Hey, listen, let me get into the last couple questions now.
Sure,
So
sure.
remember, and brother, I can go hours with you. We're good. We got the rest of our lives now. Thank God.
Yeah,
God's good to us, man. God's good to us. But now these are going to be the most basic questions, Sheil, my boy.
sure.
And so we I start out with where you're born and raised, stuff like that. And then we went deep, man. We had a good time, bro. We went for like an hour and a half just now. It's sick, bro. We
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna do this again too. Maybe we'll get Ernst on too. We'll get him on too. We'll get crazy. He's sick.
I'm a,
Yeah, I can bring people from all around the country. We get a
no,
couple
no,
other people.
I'm gonna talk to him. And maybe he could be in my office in the setting. We could do a duel, and so you could see where he's at, what he's up to. But
Oh, I
he
would love to.
to
It'd be sick having a couple people from around the country all on the screen together. A couple of
absolutely,
us and
yeah,
just
yeah.
having a good convo, man. So it'll work. That'll happen down the road.
Cool.
So these last two questions, I have two questions and then a little word association game where I'm going to ask you, like, I'm going to say a word. You're just going to give me like the first thing that comes to mind. It's cool. I've been doing it for the last couple of years, and it's a nice way to sort of wrap up a really, really brilliant convo, man.
I got
Like
you.
just what an honor to have you on, Dr. Achil Petit, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 165 of the Subjective Perspective Show on Be Awoke Entertainment. Um, can I just say one thing too, bro? So we got into the podcast thing all by accident, my wife and I, back in 2011. We started playing some music and we were getting music spun on some podcasts, these new things called podcasts. And these two young guys out of Bushwick, Brooklyn, Alonzo Taylor and Alex Montanez, they're still doing it, but they went by the characters Bud and Roach. They had a podcast network and they wanted to play some of our music. I called in. They're like, some of the listeners liked you. Would you call back in? Did that a couple times. They gave me a monologue on their show back in 2012, and they offered me a show on their network. So I was in Cali at this time, Achille. So I'm in Cali, but it's still my old neck of the woods. New York City people be putting me on, bro.
That's
So
right.
it was dope, man. So to this day we're all really good friends. But my girlfriend, now my wife, and I created the Awoke Entertainment. Nothing to do with the word woke. I just wanted to put that out there so you're aware too, brother. We have, nothing to do with the political feel on that. We were thinking of URLs that weren't taken that would, make somebody feel like this is an enlightening, .com to go to. And we tried a couple different ones that were already taken. And I remember one of my college students had said, "Professor, you're woke." It's like 2015. But, Ashil, I am like not, I'm a data driven, objective individual. And at that point, I felt as though, oh, that person just likes the fact that I challenge, the mainstream narratives, perhaps, or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yep.
maybe not even challenge, but I give other resources or sources that may challenge what, people may hear, this and that, yada, yada. I used to lecture a course called Media and Society. So I said to my wife, I said, what about be awoke, like awakened consciousness? You know what I'm saying? That's where that's from. About a year later, after we made it, Achille, that word went crazy. I was like, wait, the word woke just went nuts. I was like, oh my gosh, we got nothing to do with that, man. We're all about awakening consciousness, really, letting people realize that they can, exactly what you said, that they can maximize their potential in their life. They can do what they want to do. And the perspectives that we bring forth on our show, we really pray and we hope assist them in reaching their goals. So that's where the name comes
I
from.
love it. I love
So,
it.
brother, so that's I always put that out there every once in a while because it's interesting. And just so you know that there's no politicization, there's no politics here. This is all about objectivity. It's all about, like you said, data-driven reality. What's really happening here? What's
Yeah.
the truth? What's the truth already in life? Okay, you ready? All right.
I,
So these are the two easiest questions. So every other question we went for was we really didn't go questions. We just went deep. It was sick. These are the easiest ones I could think of.
okay.
First of the last two. Favorite book and author and or favorite movie director. So you could take one or the other or both of
Um, I have a number. So you talking about woke when I was 22, the first book that sparked my consciousness was, the autobiography of Malcolm X
them. Great book. Absolutely.
by, I think Alex Haley, I believe.
Yeah, it's actually
Um, but when you think about like a book that I reference and I look at it almost every year, I don't know, I just so gravitate towards me. It's like the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by Maxwell, right? But in between, my God, I've read obviously multiple leadership books, right? But in between, I'm a nonfiction person ever since I've been in elementary school. If you give me a nonfiction book, I am hooked.
I might eat it, bro.
Like the Harry Potters of the world, they're cool. It's just not
I
my
know.
thing. Give
I know
me
what you're saying, man.
biography, nonfiction. I love that. So much so, by the way, this is breaking news because a lot of people don't know this. So I'll share this with you. So when I left the Harlem Children's Home, obviously I said I was consulting, but I also was jotting down all of my ideas and all of my accomplishments and all of my experiences down, which then became a book.
Oh,
So it's a
nice.
nonfiction book, should be out later this year.
Right on.
So I have it's being edited right now. So I spent a number of days and weeks in it. So it's an autobiography that takes you from my early beginnings, which then shape my beliefs and principles. Talk about resiliency, all the obstacles that I had to overcome into adolescent years, trying to figure it out who I am. Had a strong network of friends, which helped me get to where I am, right? And then at the professional level, right? Again, going from Albany, also did a stint in Schenectady, Mount Vernon,
Nice.
eventually Harlem, New York at Harlem Children's Home. So when you think about my philosophy on education, why I think the way I do, what I've learned throughout the years, and then here are some strategies to make it work. It's all encompassing in that book,
I'm gonna buy the book, and
which
we're gonna get you back on the show to talk about the book. You
yes,
got to come back on, bro, to talk about the book.
dude, it's a
So,
tentative title. The system wasn't built for us, so I built a new one. How one educator transformed schools, trained a generation of leaders, and reimagine what's possible for every child. So that's the tentative title for now. So again, it's being edited right now. I got an editor; they're working on it. So
oh
God
man,
will,
I can't wait, bro.
end of the year should. So that's the first
Yeah.
nonfiction. I gave you what sparked my interest in the beginning, but when I mean deep, I went deep in even into physics in terms of like
Yeah, man.
grades from Ashwa Quasi to Phil Valentine to Bobby Kemet to Leonard Jeffries all the way to Dr. Ben and Dr. York and John Henry Clark, you name it, right? I've had all of those books and experiences, right? But and I just think that if I am interested in something and I don't know something about an area or sector, then I'm going to research it and try to figure it out. So that's my long response to that easy question.
Bro, I am pumped for your book, dog. I'm going to advertise the heck out of it for you. And again, when you get it all out, we'll set a date, get you back on, and we'll focus just on the book, brother. Okay. Oh, what an honor it is to be considered somebody that you know in your life, man. I consider you my friend, man, my old boy, bro. You know how we do it, man. Just somebody who, like you said, real. We had TJ Lavin on the show. TJ Lavin from MTV The Challenge.
Okay.
Remember that show, The Challenge?
Remember that.
Back in the day, like it was like people competing against each other and stuff. He great guy. He also was like a BMX rider. But he said real recognizes real. And man, Achil, bro, absolutely. As soon as I saw you pop on that screen before like 2 hours ago, I was like, yo, forget it, dude. This is crazy, bro. Come on. Blessing, because we're real, bro. We didn't let anything shape us other than the reality that we were in. And it's that genius aspect I talked about too. We're still enthusiastic. We have the spirit of the child that we were. We're carrying that into our old age. Something special about us, bro. We got a lot more to do. So every world, check us out. Education, it ain't over, man. American education, actually, I think it's just beginning, man. The next phase of what's going to be happening. Some good stuff coming around the corner.
More hungry and determined young people to really, pick it up from where we're going to leave it and then continue moving it forward.
And I created college classes, Achil, at a college out in California. One titled "Introduction to Classroom Teaching." Who knows? And I launched it, lectured it, and all that good stuff over at Skyline College, just south of San Francisco, and then over to Cañada College. I'll tell you, brother, with your expertise and maybe just a little bit of what I've learned in my life, maybe we could get out there and just keep on putting it out there. Just keep on making great educators, leaders.
Definitely talk after this. Absolutely, yeah.
Come on, bro. And you already know, ain't no stress to the dog. It's just gonna happen. Life is just gonna happen, bro. That's how we do it. All right, question, and then word association game, my boy. All right, my brother.
Yep.
Dr. Achil Petit. It's so cool to say that, man. It's crazy, bro. Years later, look at us killing it.
I know.
All right. I ask everybody this question. The only person I did not get to ask this to actually is Graham Hancock. He has one of the #1 shows on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse. Very well known on Joe Rogan's show. He was actually on Joe's show, came to our show a couple days later, but he was in England or something, and he was losing service. He couldn't hear me, so he's the only person out of 165 episodes, the only one. Graham, we'll get you back on one day, and I'll ask you this question personally. Right. But my brother Achil, man, Dr. Achil Petit. Episode 165 of the Subjective Perspective Show. Easiest question I could think of back in the day. And when we started this, August 2013. Favorite color and why? Or colors?
Blue. That's very easy. That's the easy one, blue. I think, so back in the days, it's real funny now. It wasn't funny then. So my parents couldn't afford clothes, anything fresh, or as the kids call it now, a name brand. So we used to go shop at the thrift store, right? Hand me down, you name it. And the majority of the clothes that were available to me were like blue or black. And I just thought, so I just kept on gravitating towards the color blue. Yeah, so those were some interesting times and interesting days. So blue is the color for me.
Wow, that's amazing, man. God bless you and your beautiful family, because they're the ones who gave life to Dr. Achil Petit. Think about everything that everybody's gone through in your family, dog. Think about how far you've come, how proud you made everybody, bro. I'm proud. I am to be somebody who's a buddy of yours, man. It's dope, man.
And every time I talk, I always say, my mother and father are two brilliant human beings, kind-hearted, very peaceful, and provided for us the best ways they knew how, even though finance wasn't where we needed it to be. But my principles and values, all of them come from these two who have never went through a K through 12 education system. So my mother has never went to kindergarten, eighth grade, never at all. And my dad either, it's not until he was around 17, 18 that he got someone to do a one-on-one teaching lesson with him. So even though they didn't go through the K through 12 educational system either in their home country or here, but education was always the most important thing to them because they knew this would help to create a different opportunity for us, the kids, that they perhaps weren't able to provide. But for me, I think I will take values, principles, integrity over any kind of money, uh, because I'm grounded in all of those values and principles and beliefs, and I owe all of that to my mother and father.
Ah, I tell you this, my man. It's people like you specifically that when I met you, man, you were it's like I saw your soul, bro. Like I could just see you, man. And like for some reason, sometimes people it happens like that with it, man. And to this day, I'm so blessed to know you, brother. This world is so lucky to have you. And your family has got to be incredibly proud of what you have done. And I'll tell you this, man. There's a lot more to do. So
A
tell them
lot,
stay LinkedIn. We got more to do here, kids.
lot more to do, a lot more work. I think we're getting there. We're doing it in pockets. Clearly, I've done it in Harlem, but I am certain it we can replicate it in other places, in other cities, in other communities. It's just all it takes is one person to have a goal, a vision, a dream, just like Geoffrey Canada had the goal and the dream and the vision, and he believed it. And he believed it so much so that he would not accept anything from his employees other than children are first and that they can learn and they will learn. And we're going to make all decisions centered around data. And I think
Absolutely.
some people call it cavalier, some people call it crazy. And a lot of people did call him crazy that it wouldn't work. And now look at it now. It's being replicated across multiple cities across the country, right? Because we know that zip codes matter, meaning that where you live often determine your um
Resources. The
absolute
amount of money. And that's why I've always said,
your
hey,
earnings, stuff like that. And that shouldn't be the case, right?
no, absolutely. Everybody should have the resources, at hand to maximize their potential. One of the wealthiest countries in the world, we can make this happen. Like you said, where's the intention? Where are we pulling that money from? A lot of money going to, we talked about you mentioned the big pharma. Oh, yeah, let's go to big EDU. Let's get to that big education now, right?
Right.
Now, listen, I'm going to get you out of here in a second. Okay. I had you for too long, but I love this. I got a word association game.
Okay.
But man, Achil, it's it's a breath of fresh air because I think it was Einstein who said this. I think it was. He said, "Numerous are the academic chairs, but rare are the noble and wise teachers who fill them." Right. So you have a lot of different open positions, but who are the noble and wise ones?
Right.
Dr. Achil Petit, irrefutably, you are uh, what this country needs, what this world needs,
We
and
we appreciate that, man. Thank you.
what an honor and joy to have
They
had this
need, I
convo
think
with you for two
us,
hours, bro.
Nick. I think they need us.
Yeah, I
People
agree. I agree.
care, people who will not give up, who will try over and over again, people who will innovate, people who will take accountability for both successes and failures.
You know David Goggins? You ever hear of David Goggins?
Remind me.
All
Probably.
right, David Goggins, 36th African American Navy SEAL in American history. He's one of the toughest dudes on the planet, considered one of the toughest dudes. Goggins. Check him out, bro. Born in a small town in Indiana, but went through. And anybody who has heard of David Goggins knows his story because he's very well known in the world of, I guess, social media and inspiring and motivational speakers. Went
Yeah,
through
so
all
I
of
know
it.
you talking about he's like he has the same hairstyle as me.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely, kid. Got that one blade fade, bro. Yeah, yeah, but Goggins is the man, dude. And I always say this: it's like we're the Goggins of education now.
Right.
He does it the way he does it in terms of training, in terms of what he's done in the military, and we're doing that relentlessly in education. And the thing is this, bro: the EDD versus the PhD. Really, you have the PhD, which is the theoretical degree. The EDD is the practitioner's degree. And
Absolutely, yeah.
those are the people that are really on the front lines, up there, rolling up their sleeves, getting it done. And I like to say that, man, I'm a practitioner. I'm not a theorist, man. I don't
Same.
just sit in my ivory tower saying, hey, it should be like this and go do this now. To
No.
go out there, I'm gonna do it because I like to do it my way. I like to make sure it gets done the right way. So I'm gonna do out there, and if I do it the right way, then everyone will replicate that. We'll keep it going. I had to mention that, bro. I apologize. I listen. Word association game, my man, brother, my boy,
Okay.
man. Blessed, blessed, blessed. Trying to be mindful here, man. I do it for 2 hours here, bro. It's
It's all good.
freaking beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everybody listening in, this is what two people back from the day sound like who respect each other. People who care for one another. People who went through a year of teaching, like Chris Finn said. It was difficult, man. He's seen people get stabbed, sliced, shot, the whole 9 yards. All right, ladies and gents. So we've seen that. We know what time it is with that.
I've seen
Okay.
I've had a kid uh bring an AK-47 in my classroom and showed it to me. I've seen somebody get stabbed in the chest area near the heart and was inches away from penetrating the heart. So
Oh
see,
yeah.
bro,
Oh, tragedy. Yeah, we know it. This is
it,
what we sound like, ladies and gents. The most unpretentious people. We're gonna call how we see it. We salted the earth, and like with Ennoble Academic Services, anybody looking to empower and strengthen their schools, their school districts, get in touch with Dr. Petit, Dr. Achil Petit, okay? Because as you are hearing, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's been there, he's done that, and now he's been paving the way for leaders to take the reins. Because one day we're going to be older. Huh? Are we going to get older one day? Is that
we're gonna be more seasoned.
give me more season? With the
We're gonna be
season
more
on, I like that.
seasoned
Give me you know it.
and more
Word.
intelligent. That's what it
That's
is.
right. That's right. Wisdom, baby. All right,
Right.
listen, brother. Final leg of the race here, which I think went pretty fast here. And this is the word association game. I'm going to say five words. I'm going to say one word or phrase, and then you give me first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, and it's all cool. It's all like I'm pretty tame with all this stuff. Okay, Dr. Shale Petit, episode 165, the Subjective Perspective Show, word association game. First word is mixed martial arts.
Martial arts. First word that come to mind is discipline. Discipline,
Like it.
effort, consistency.
Do you
So,
still do you still train?
um, I not the way I did back in the days. So, but I watch it a lot. I still watch
Yep.
TSPS. Still
Yeah.
have my favorites, obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't actively practice the way I used to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, you used to train though. I remember, man.
I have a heavy bag in the garage, a speed bag, some way. So, once in a while, you could find me hitting the heavy bag, the speed bag, and stuff like that. I
I
just
wouldn't want to be on that bag. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that bag. That'll hurt, boy. That'll hurt.
stay active, just in case.
I like it. Hey, you see this new thing, slap fighting?
I saw that. Yeah,
It's crazy. I think it's entertaining. I watch it, but it's crazy. I don't know. Listen, because the whole traumatic brain injury thing with football, and they changed a lot of the rules. I'm thinking to myself, these people just sitting there in front of them getting hit full blown. I'm like, that's got to leave some.
It's gonna take, a generation of those slap fighters to develop CTE for them to really
Yeah, CTE. That's right. CTE is called. That's right. Oh, so crazy. But yeah, that's. I think Dana White or whoever the crew they own that one
Dana
too.
White is involved in that.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought. All right, sorry, brother. Okay, here I go. Number two. Word number two. New York City.
New York City is uh greatest city in the world. I
I think
mean,
that.
you can survive in New York City. People might say it's a cliche. You can say whatever you want, but New Yorkers who grew up in New York City have this ability to adapt no matter where they go and really influence.
Yeah.
It's clearly the financial capital of the world, right? So for me, if you can survive here, you can survive anywhere. And then also, I think we get a bad rap about being from New York. Maybe it's too fast, maybe
Tough.
tough. We're not as accommodating to tourists. That's the word I want to choose to use, as most people like. But I think, there's a toughness and a grit inside each and every one of us that are from New York as a whole. But New York City, is the epicenter to me.
Oh, I like it. I like it, bro.
Greatest city
Yeah,
in
New York. It's such a good point too. Let me go to the other words, but yeah, we. I like how you said that, man. You make it like Sinatra said. I think it was Sinatra. You make it here, you can make it anywhere, right?
anyway.
One of the old singers there. Um, yeah, well said, brother. Well said. All right, third word. Third word. Leadership.
Yep. I think leadership is about influence, it's about impact, about understanding. So
I like it.
you need to be able to influence a group of people. And the way you do that is by making sure you first had impact as an individual so you could communicate your vision to be able to scale it across. And I've said this before, leadership is not only about power, but it's also about learning, understanding, and being able to be led, even if you sit at the highest position, that you can roll your sleeve and sit back and be led from
Mm,
someone who is in a lower position than you. If you
mm,
have leaders that, in my opinion, believe that, then I think regardless of the industry, I think you're going to have a thriving company or organization, right? You have to be able to roll your sleeves and get dirty with your employees. You have to. In my opinion, I think that has been my greatest weapon. So even as a superintendent, I've created this method really uh, where I'm able to look at lesson plans with administrators and principals and then coach teachers in real time before they go and present their instruction inside the classroom.
mm.
And there were several times we were missing teachers that I would step in and literally would help to teach a class, a group of kids, especially those who were struggling.
You must have been like, wow, this dude's good.
Because I believe
Superintendent's killing it, bro.
because I believe deeply that I am an educator first. I'm not a leader first. I'm an educator first who happened to ascend to leadership position. So through and through, I'm an educator, and as such, I need to figure out the best ways to educate that young child or those young persons who are struggling. And it has to be an all hands on deck approach and not just leaving it to the teachers or to the administrators or even just to the district level personnel. It
That's
has
right.
to be community and that
Mm,
businesses and entrepreneurs and those people in power. It has to be parents. It has to be
Mm,
school district. It has to be teachers. It has to be staff. I don't care if you
right.
a lunch monitor or if you are a
That's
facility
right.
and maintenance person, or if you are just a security expert who's keeping our kids safe. I think we all play a role in whatever the vision is for that district or that school. And if we
Absolutely.
all see that, and it has to be modeled by the leader so that it trickles down to all staff and all employees.
Mm. I love that. Absolutely, brother. What you just said is what every leader, not just in education, but every leader needs to embody. Somebody who's not beyond any other work task that they are expecting of others. It's and in the world of education, like you said earlier, Dr. Petit, I like that. Like you said earlier, it's relationship building.
Yeah.
And if we do not have relationships that are established from top down communication, from leaders to those that are taking direction, and we don't have individuals that, how would I say it, that truly have the intention of of bettering whatever program, whatever section of industry they're in, you're going to have a lack of reciprocity, right? People at the bottom level aren't going to respect you,
No.
and they're not going to feel the big word that I use, Achil. It starts with a V, valued. If
Yeah.
they are not valued, forget about it. If I'm not valued, why do I want to work for somebody and try to make them look better or feel better? And I'm getting the raw end of the stick, whatever it may be.
Nick,
So
that be one, Nick. So look how all of this connect. Talking about interconnectedness. Just think about all the issues that are currently all of us are facing, right? We don't have to get into it. You know what? All of them are missing, valued, heard, seen, respected. You could
absolutely.
take it and apply it to any industry, any sector, any politics, any religious differences,
Yeah.
right? If you tell me, Dr. Petit, these parents are just, oh my God, they're too much. I don't have time to deal with them. I don't want to deal with them, right? And then I'm like, sure, I'll deal with it. I'll speak to them. I've had parents curse at me, threaten to beat me up, threaten to get me beat up when I exit the property.
Crazy.
And um,
Crazy.
and my approach, especially in my latter years, has been, yeah, fine, close the door, get it out, right? Now you meant one story where I was like, so I just want to make sure I have this correct. You said this about your child. You've tried to reach out to the school, tried to set up a meeting. You felt like you're being ignored, correct? Yeah. And in doing these 4 or 5 things, you want this for your child. You want support. You want to be able to be heard and to be included in decisions that pertains to your child, correct? They say yes. Then I said, and lastly, do you really want me to get beat up? Like, did you mean that? And then she cracked a smile, and basically I disarmed it with humor, right?
Yes. Yes.
But at the she was able to really change her approach in terms of how she communicated with me.
Yes.
And at the end, she felt literally heard, supported. I did not dismiss her concerns or feelings, right? And then I came up with ideas and solutions and strategies to help her child because at the end of the day, she just needed help and support, right?
Yes.
So that's one example, but I could see another example where I walked into a classroom and a new teacher is crying because they have 25, 30 young people and don't have the tools in their toolbox to be able to figure it out. And then I sat with them after the class is over, and I acknowledge the pain, the concern, the anxiety, if you will, and then literally walk her through some strategies that have worked for me, and then how to implement them to guarantee result. And then I sat with her to, so it's one thing to have ideas in your mind, but it's another to make it live on paper. And then last but not least, let it come to life in the classroom where I'm able to sit there with her and give thumbs up and really give her timely feedback in the moment. So that teacher now is like, wow, that person really has a vested interest as a professional, is really supportive, is just not feeding me a bunch of talking points.
Yeah.
There's action behind his words. That
Yes.
teacher not only turned out to be an amazing teacher, turned out to be one of the highest performing teachers, right? And that's a teacher that doesn't look like me, right? And that is
Right.
not as big as me. Because a lot of people like to say, well, you know, your stature, your size, and no.
They're gonna mess with you, bro.
So, yeah. So, yeah.
I've seen big teachers. I've seen big teachers, tough cookies, kids doing backflips off the desks. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Oh,
No Fezzy. You
absolutely.
know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
I've seen it. I've seen
And
it.
I've seen little people just hold it down, bro.
I
You know,
promise
it's
you. I
just,
promise you.
I know it, brother. I
It-
listen. Two more words. Let me get this to you. I'm sorry. This is awesome, man. Absolutely, Achil. This has been fun. I'm so, I like, honestly, bro. Like, we've been on for over 2 hours, man. So thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is Dr. Achil Petit, episode
Like,
165. It's been a joy, dog. We got more to do too. All right, listen. So, question. Word number four. First word that comes to mind:
yes, sir.
education.
Powerful. Has the ability to transform lives and transform a nation. And I believe we need to really pour more into education, pour more into educators, train them better, but also pay them better with higher accountability for student outcome as well. So I believe that deeply, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. I concur, brother. Absolutely. Absolutely. Final word, my friend. And this will I'll give you the then I'll give you the last minute and then we'll get into the commercial break, get you out for the day. Been amazing, man. Dr. Achille Petit. Dr. Petit, final word for the word association game. Family.
Um, most important, most important resource, most important wealth you can have. I think family is everything, right? And I don't care how you categorize family. It could be biological or it could be a group of brotherhood or sisterhood that has been formed over, 2, 3 decades and has helped you to get to where you are. I think we need to pay more attention to the family structure because in the end, we can say whatever we want about wanting people to understand our views, to walk in our shoes. But if you have a good family, which is a good support system, to me, that is worth more than any money in the world. So true wealth for me equates to family.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Achille Petit. Dr. Petit, can I give you the final word? Anything that you'd like to leave our audience with of the Subjective Perspective Show and Be Awoke Entertainment? Now, we did a good 2 hours, so we
Yeah.
went pretty deep, brother. But I want to say as well, what an absolute honor it is to be considered a friend of yours, somebody that if you ever need anything, you just give me a jingle, bro. You know, give me a holler. You just give that. I gave you my number. You know what I'm saying? That email, bro. Whatever you lock me in, man. because so you said it before, man. We sort of see each other. People like us, we see each other. We have to uplift each other.
Right.
And you're one of the great ones. Anything you need, I got your back, brother. What a great man you are. A great,
So
great man.
I think final words is this, right?
Go, baby.
I really appreciate you having me on your podcast. When you reached out, immediately said yes. I didn't even think about what we were discussing. It didn't matter. It was an opportunity to reconnect with a friend of mine, a colleague that I started with 18 years ago. Well, actually, 19 years ago, in the classrooms, in the halls in Harlem, New York, and to see where you have what you've endured and what you have overcome to be who you are now. It's amazing. It's lessons I think we all could learn from. We are in dire need of educators. I want all of my uh, students out there, or even if you've left college and universities and you're thinking about joining an industry, I would really appreciate it if you join educators. We need educators to be able to train, guide, and facilitate and support and develop these future leaders, these future politicians, um, and
Everything.
and
Future everything.
future everything really. And we need y'all. We definitely need y'all. I think education for me is the great equalizer. I think it allows you to become whoever and whatever you want. It's the one thing they can't take
Yes,
from you. They can't take away from an educated mind, right?
that's right.
I want all of the listeners out there to continue to support you and support your podcast. And this was an amazing 2+ hours. It didn't even feel like it, but
I
I'm
know, man.
but
We're
I'm
doing it again too, bro. Come on.
and
We're just getting started, bro. I was being cool. I didn't want to go too deep because it was like I knew we had so much time, bro. 2 hours like that.
I appreciate you having me just to be able to talk about my passion, which is education, my philosophy, what I have done, even though we didn't go too deep into what I have done, but I'm
We got more to talk about. Oh my
out there,
God, we got more to talk about.
and then just talk about what I'm working on right now in terms of the book and my website and my consulting services. So I appreciate it, man. I legit could have went another 2 hours and have, because it just felt just
Two.
like two brothers just having a conversation. So
Absolutely. Love you, kid. Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Achil Petit, episode 165 of the
thank you
Subjective
for having
Perspective
me.
Show. It was an honor. Blessed to have you, brother. Let's go into a commercial break, ladies and gents. Song going back to 2011 that Lisa TSP and I did down at Sullivan Hall, down in the village, down by Washington Square. Song's called Have You Ever Seen a Wise Man? I see one right here. That's my friend.
All
That's my
right, man.
colleague. That's the great educator and leader, Dr. Achil Petit.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gents,
Thank you for having me.
stay linked to him. We're coming at you live in full effect. Education's just getting started. Here we come.
Guidance, perhaps. Have you ever seen The Wise Man? Thank you all for being there with us too, big time. Loving it, big time. Have you ever seen a wise man in your way? Can you give me some helpful words today? Have you ever seen a wise man in your way? Can you give me some helpful words today? I turn on TV and I'm taken away by the film. I look to Barry and I realize they're there. Got lots of love and you can take my energy. We can make this a better place to be. Have you ever seen a wise man in your way? Can you give me some
Welcome back, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed that last 2 hours of conversation with Dr. Achil Petit. I got to tell you, as you just caught for some time, the last 2 hours or so, he is somebody who I have incredible respect for, somebody who I consider a friend, somebody who is a colleague, a comrade in this world of education, really trying to make a difference in order to inspire and maximize the potential of everybody who sits before us, who we lead. And that's why Achille is somebody of incredible worth, some in the world of education, somebody who can transform lives, somebody who's proven to have done that. And I tell you, I'm looking forward to going back and checking this on out because there are so many ideas laid down. Man, I was trying to pick everything on up as it was coming at me. That's beautiful stuff right there. Hey, check it. As Dr. Petit is in the midst of writing a book, I also wrote a book, oh gosh, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, titled Teach Me the I Me Method of Instruction, uh, an experiential handbook for becoming a successful educator. And actually, that's me in Harlem right there, back in like 06, 07. It got me all around the country doing my thing. It's a really good book. You can check it out at blurb.com, blurb.com. As well, uh, you can just click on the link right on the main page at beawoke.com and it'll bring you right there. There's a couple different versions of the book. The most affordable version is about $10, soft copy. That hard copy is up there a bit. I have a couple personalized charts and graphs that I had made. It's about $70 or so. Then you have one that's a little more mid-grade in terms of the quality of paper used, and that's about 30 or $40. So anything within your pay range, which you'd be interested in purchasing the book for, should be something that could work. If you're interested in, oh, also the ebook, which I think is just a couple bucks as well for Kindles and all that good stuff. But if you're interested in knowing more about the book, I apologize, Teach Me the I Me Method of Instruction, or about the I Me method itself, which stands for inspiration and motivation maximizes the educational experience for everybody, for all students, for everybody present, teachers as well. Uh, all individuals within the community of education are inspired by the great work that our educators do. And I can't echo enough what Dr. Petit made the point of as our in regards to our educators being paid more, being given more kudos. And I know there are great leaders out there that do it and do their best. But I think more on the macro level, as Dr. Petit was making the point, where across the board, it's important for everybody to be valued and for those teachers to value their students and to make them feel as valued as well, irrefutably. It's the way that education will make progress. And it's the way that will reinstill a bit of uh, faith in the education system for the future generations, because uh, when you hear ideas such as what Dr. Petit brings forth, it lets you realize that there are people out there, great people out there, that are working to do the right things within the world of education. That's one of those things that reinstill my faith in education and humanity as well. So we hope that you enjoyed episode 165. Hey, listen, more gear also. Got these cool jerseys. You got the subjective perspective TSP jerseys with your Be Awoke Entertainment logo. Right there on the merch section, as you saw that commercial on the intro. Click on that link right there on beawoke.com, beawoke.com, and be transported to some really cool merch that you could rock around the neighborhood and look like the coolest cat around. With that said, we hope that these ideas from Dr. Petit, shared on the Subjective Perspective show on Be Awoke Entertainment, allow you to go into your week, your weekend, your month, your year a bit more thoughtful. And always remember, echoing once more what Dr. Petit made the point of. And I sign off with this every episode. You have the power in you not just to make changes in your life, but to make changes in the lives of others as well. Get out there, make it happen. I'm with Dr. Petit on this one. Whatever's coming your way, embrace it. Use it as fuel to your fire, any difficulties. Be the strongest you that you can be. Turn your dreams into your reality. And realize that not only will you supersede your wildest imagination regarding what you saw your life becoming, but you have the power to also assist others in doing so. And you realize that you have the power to make this world a better place. You're already doing it. We hope that you go into your week ends, and your month, and your year, kicking off that school year soon enough, y'all. A bit more thoughtful with Dr. Petit and the subjective perspective. 1.
On the subjective perspective show, you're free to be on the subjective perspective show. You're free like we on the subjective perspective show.